Hey people, what's up? Kyle back again, coming at you with episode 2 of SN10, where we talk about everything from sports to video games and everything in between. This time I got my good buddy Jack with me to help me break down some of the topics at hand. So, Jack, what's going on, buddy?
Not much. Long time no see.
Yeah, Rona will do that, right? Feels like we've been forever since we've had this kind of conversation face to face, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, real big thing first off is did you catch the Super Bowl? I mean, common topic right now,
absolutely.
but yeah. What'd you think?
Surprising result.
Yeah,
Just the Chiefs haven't ever looked like that on offense for a whole game.
yeah. Now I know you had texted me because we're good buddies. You had texted me that you were kind of rooting against the Chiefs. I mean, I guess your explanation for that was that you just kind of the whole repeat winner thing is, or is that kind of what you meant? Is just haven't seen another kind of Patriots dynasty forming as a Bills fan, you don't kind of want to see that, or
Yeah, and especially AFC, AFC fans. So I don't want another dynasty so shortly after the Patriots. So I think it's still inevitable, but delayed a few more
yeah,
years.
yeah. I mean, I had picked. I mean, for those that watched last week's episode where we kind of gave predictions for it, I had picked the Tampa Bay to win. I just had a feeling, no real distinct reason, but I picked them to win. But I thought it would be kind of like more of an offensive shootout, maybe not like crazy high scoring, but I thought that both offenses would show out pretty good and it'd come down to like which team maybe got a stop here and there. Um, Turns out that was only half right.
Yeah,
Tampa Bay was all over Mahomes, literally. And there's funny videos. I've seen the videos out there of like a guy like reenacting Mahomes game where he's like throwing. Have you seen it? You haven't seen it? Okay.
no,
There's just funny videos of people reenacting like Mahomes night, just literally running for his life and doing all this crazy passes, and his guys dropping the ball because
yeah,
it was just an offensive matter of perspective, right? It was an offensive disaster for the Chiefs, but then I guess give Bowles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense credit for just completely disrupting them. So, yeah, I just
yeah.
had a
I,
feeling the
I guess I
Buccaneers would win
didn't
it, but
think the Bucks defense was, quite up to the task.
yeah.
Even in the fourth quarter, midway through, down 4 touchdowns, I thought, no, they're still going to come back. There's plenty
Right.
of
Well,
time,
yeah.
you know?
Well, you have good reason to believe that because the Chiefs are so explosive, and it's like when they're clicking, you can't stop everybody, especially with a QB that. The thing I told Tyler last week was that Mahomes against your Bills was showing this crazy ability. Like the Bills would get somebody to him, and he would just make that guy miss every time. Like he'd break that sack.
Yeah.
Like the blitz would get home, right? But once Mahomes got away from that guy, and dude, Mahomes on an off schedule play with all those weapons, it's just a nightmare for any defense, right? So it's like I did say last week that I thought maybe Tampa Bay, with all their pressure that they can get with all the different defensive weapons and pass rushers they have, especially with Vita Vea coming back to kind of give pressure in the middle, that if they can kind of make him step up or scramble, but then somebody else is like right there to kind of pick him up, so to speak, because he's not slow. Obviously, he's mobile, but he's not like Lamar, where it's like, oh my gosh, there's a seam and he just hits it, it's gone. He can beat you. He can run
Yeah.
for a first down and burn you with his legs, sure, but he's certainly not like lightning in a bottle when it comes to a QB scrambler. So, but yeah, I was just shocked.
Yeah.
I
He
mean, I
originally
didn't
has
really
to
want to.
when it's third and long and there's no other option.
Yeah. So I didn't want to see a blowout, to be honest. I mean, when you don't have a horse in the race, so to speak. I mean, I kind of want to see a good game. I think somebody mentioned on my Twitter that this is like, I don't know, like CBS has had a blowout in the Super Bowl, or at least a non-competitive Super Bowl since the Ravens Niners one, where the lights went out, which is like 2013, I think. So of course, obviously, they
Wow.
don't CBS doesn't have it every year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's almost like it's a curse at this point where it's like CBS just cannot get, because you have to figure the ratings drop off in the second half, right? When it becomes clear, even though, again, like you said, Mahomes is and that offense is lightning in a bottle. I mean, last year
Yeah.
they
And the
kind of
job
came
they did
back
on
too.
Tariq Hill, it was probably the best
Yeah.
defensive job I'd seen against him.
I mean, even Kelsey kind of walked around like he was just down on himself. I don't know if you noticed that, but like he's always real, you know, I'll
Taunting and
say,
flexing every
yeah,
time. Yeah.
he didn't seem that way. He seemed down on himself. It was weird. They just seemed out of sorts. And again, like with the NFL, the last repeat champion, I mean, I don't even know who it would have been. Like, would have literally been the Cowboys, maybe? I don't know. Or maybe the Broncos? Probably the Broncos. Who else has won?
Broncos, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So like back-to-back championships in the NFL is really rare. Not getting there necessarily, but winning it is pretty rare. So that was probably my big thing, was just that if nothing else, I was picking Tampa Bay just because they seemed like they were that team that was playing their best ball at the right time, with obviously the
Yeah.
the GOAT at quarterback. And once then
I know
just
it's a foregone conclusion that the Chiefs will be back. They're going to be there
yeah,
every year, defending their title every year, but it's just so
yeah,
many things have to go right. Even when you have the best team, you
I
don't
know.
always make the Super Bowl. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion that Mahomes is going to win another 3 or 4.
right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't take it for granted. That's for sure. Unless you're Tom Brady and you go to 10 Super Bowls in your lifetime, and he's apparently coming back. Especially after, did you see his parade?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Lost the Super Bowl trophy. I couldn't believe it. Can you imagine if that
I'm
guy would
telling
have
you,
caught that?
man, Tom Brady outside of the Patriots, he's a likable guy.
Yeah,
He's
that's
not so
dude.
bad.
That's what I was telling Tyler. I mean, honestly, God, far be it from me, some guy just sitting here talking on a podcast to talk about what Tom Brady should do with his career. But like, what else does he have to prove now? Like this whole year, was about him winning away from Belichick's. Everybody, myself included, I kind of thought it was like a 60-40. I know me and you've had these conversations where I was like, Tom's great. He executes the play in the clutch moments. You know what I mean? He's not a flashy quarterback by any stretch. You can't put on a highlight reel of Tom Brady and be like, wow, look at these plays he's making with his arm and his legs and off-platform throws like you can with Rodgers, Mahomes, Marino. The list goes on, right? But his accolades obviously are second to none at this point. And it's just, I think he wanted to prove that it's not so much Bill, but he can win elsewhere. And obviously he just proved that, taking a team that literally wasn't a playoff team, was like, I don't know, were they like 7-9 last year, and they had a quarterback that threw 30 interceptions, and now
Yeah.
they won the Super Bowl. I mean, I know
Yeah.
Tom Brady isn't just growing trees, so it's not like you can just go out and pluck him and do what the Buccaneers did this year, but it's like, how much more does he have left to prove? It's like, if you're somebody that
Yeah.
wants Tom Brady to go away, it's like, you would have
This
thought maybe,
playoff run may have been the most impressive of them all,
yeah,
being on
how's
the
he going to,
road and
like, the only way he tops it is like if he opts out and goes to like the Jets next year and takes them all the way, which obviously is not. I'm hypothetically, and it's not going to happen, obviously. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I don't know how else he can top it, other than he just loves to compete, dude, and that's all good. So I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not sitting here telling him he should retire. It's just, man, if he has a
The
few
only
more
thing I don't
years
really
left,
like about this particular Bucks team, it was like an NBA super team, where it's like everyone gets together and
follow.
all these superstars join a team and to win a championship. And I thought
Yeah,
there's no way this works in the NFL, but I guess
the
when
ring
Tom Brady's your
chase.
quarterback, it does.
Yeah, the ring
Yeah.
chase. Yeah. So yeah, Super Bowl's in the books. We're officially in the off season. So I mean, we'll see where it
I think
goes.
the narrative's a little interesting on Mahomes though, because by all accounts he had a bad game. Not all his fault for sure, but he wasn't helping his offensive line by doing his normal 30-yard back pedal and everything.
The
That
offensive line doesn't know where he's
increased
at and
his
stuff
pressure.
too. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, I'm not
Yeah.
sitting here
But
criticizing Patrick
the
Mahomes.
narrative, he did it all himself. Yeah. But you
Yeah,
look at other quarterbacks who maybe had similar bad games in the playoffs and things like that, and the narrative is just so much different. It's like,
yeah,
the Mahomes narrative is always that he did the best he could, where it's kind of like kids' gloves. But
yeah. A bit of a media darling, but he has the MVP in the Super Bowl now to back it up. So it's like, I don't think he'll ever not
yeah,
get that fair treat. You know what I mean? He'll always get that treatment now, especially. But again, like I say, he's obviously super talented. So I'm not here to like criticize Pat Mahomes. I'm with you as far as like, man, how many quarterbacks they had that kind of, that was like literally worse than Rex Grossman. Again, offensive line was terrible, didn't protect him. He had injuries on offensive line too. So he'll bounce back, I'm sure. I mean, I don't think we're seeing the beginning of the end with Mahomes, but like you said,
yeah.
you
I
can't take
mean,
for granted that you're going to get
the
back.
receivers didn't help him with those drops either,
Yeah.
but it's like the ball's coming at strange angles. The dude's horizontal to the ground, and you're not even seeing the ball until it's close to you, and
Yeah.
there's defenders all around. It's like
Yeah.
not all that is, can be helped in those situations.
Yeah. I think we could just maybe kind of saw, obviously, like I said, the offensive line not protecting real great hurts, but then also so does Mahomes, kind of like his helter-skelterness of his game, which is also what makes him great most of the time. But sometimes when that helter-skelter doesn't go well, it's utterly disastrous. I mean, I've seen in games he's done really well. You could still sometimes find plays where he takes like a literal 20-yard sack just because he's scrambling around because he has that such amazing ability that play's never dead. So it's going to be interesting in the AFC going forward, though, between him and your boy Josh Allen. I think that's a long-term rivalry coming. I peg Josh Allen above Lamar at this point. I mean, I'm not a Lamar hater, but I think Josh Allen versus Pat Mahomes is something we're going to see a lot of in the playoffs coming down the pipe, which is exciting for me being a fan of football in general. So
I
yeah.
just think Allen has the right coach and the right, GM to keep players around him to continue to help his career and everything. So even though if he does take a step back, which is, pretty easy to do when you're second in MVP voting and everything, but I still think he'll be productive and, he's improved in areas of weakness. So I think that's a good quality to have.
Yeah, no, his raw talent's starting to be refined, which is scary for the NFL because his raw talent was so insane. The fact that he's starting to actually refine it and hone it is scary. Also, your head coach looks kind of like Bill Burr.
But everything said bust. Yeah,
What's
historically speaking, it's like,
yeah,
everything said bust, historically speaking. So I think that's a good sign too, that he's able to change the narrative. At least it may hurt other teams in the future that have a Josh Allen like quarterback and, they think they can, get lucky with him, but it takes the right combination of everything around them to make it work.
Yeah, they've done a great job of building the team around him for sure. And just like I said, yeah, you're right though. The raw talent from a small school, it's really a boomer bust, proposition when you're talking about drafting a quarterback that high. But it seems like we'll see about next year, obviously, but his trajectory is really positive right now. So I'm hoping that he keeps going. I love your fan base. I mean, I like the Bills fan base. I think they're obviously a tortured fan base. I think they deserve to have a long-term winner. So I can sympathize with that fan base. And so yeah, I think maybe we'll roll right into QB carousel from this since we're already on NFL. So I guess we can start talking about obviously the big talk right now that the Super Bowl is over, right? Is like again the QB carousel, and what's the first name that everybody's thinking of when they hear about the QBs moving and swapping is obviously Deshaun Watson. So I mean, at first I just thought it was, oh, there's no way. I mean, the Texans are inept. Don't get me wrong. Like they're clearly a very inept franchise. The way that they've traded away his weapons, and Hopkins going to Arizona for like a second round pick or whatever it was, I think, like, which is ridiculous because he's a top 5 receiver in my opinion. So as far as Watson, if we kind of want to work down this list, starting with Watson, since I think he's kind of like the crown jewel, obviously, of it all, and where he goes is going to impact a lot of what happens thereafter, maybe depending on when he would go or when he would move. What's your gut tell you on where do you think? I mean, if you think he's going to stay with the Texans, then that's fair too. But where do you think Deshaun Watson ends up ultimately? You got any hunches or ideas?
I think it's going to drag out for quite some time, but I think the Jets are probably in the driver's seat, I would say. Dolphins as well, but the Jets just have more assets to trade.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Dolphins could compete with that unless they get rid of Tua, which they've talked in public about not doing, and that they're all behind him. But you never can trust that.
Yeah, I think there's actually a report that came out today that I read. Again, I mean, Twitter, you never know what's substantial. I usually look for like substantial like sources tagged in the tweet. Because I'm following probably some iffy people right now on Twitter just because I'm thirsty for information. Any rumor I'll latch onto and just try to run with it. But I think I saw today on Twitter that the Dolphins are committing to Tua, which, I mean, maybe my imagination's running away with me, but when I think about all this, I think these teams are all like, there's back channels being worked. There's no way these teams aren't talking to Deshaun Watson's agent saying, will Deshaun, if the Texans come off their stance of not moving him, which they're saying right now, but I think they're posturing right now, is there a realistic chance that Deshaun would come to us? So like if the Dolphins reach out, which there was reports that Deshaun would consider it, and I would understand why, right? Because it's a fun market. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Miami, but I mean it's Miami, right? And the team obviously is well equipped to compete right now, especially if you plug in a Deshaun Watson, because Tua had a pretty rough rookie year. Fitzmagic was the best QB on their roster this year. It's probably the only reason they didn't make the playoffs. because he couldn't play that last game because of COVID. Because I think they were playing against you guys, the Bills, right? Against the
Mm-hmm.
backups. Well,
Yeah.
no, they kept
Well,
Allen
for a
in,
half,
kept him, yeah, buried him.
they did the kill shot in the first half.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I just kind of wonder, like that report today, like did the Dolphins find out that like Watson's like, maybe not Miami. So now they're like outwardly committing to Tua in the public, which is like a vote of confidence to me for Tua, because Tua's been in the media lately saying, as far as I know, I'm quarterback. I plan to be here, saying all the right things. I think he is. I'm not saying close the book on him. I did see some pretty concerning things as far as just like, I think the play calling was pretty for him. Like the play calling whenever Fitzpatrick was in there and the play calling when Tua was in there was quite a bit different to me, or maybe Tua just wasn't seeing things, but it seemed like they were like, all right, Tua, you're just going to throw outside the hashes, real safe stuff. Then Fitzpatrick, it was like, okay, we can stretch the field. So I think they kind of
I
had
think I
Tua
saw some film
handcuffed.
study. Yeah, I saw some film study stuff where he was just not seeing people downfield when they tried to
Really,
run those plays. So,
really.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So maybe they've got some back channel information. My hunch tells me, but then again, this just came out on Twitter just recently before they started this, before we went live, is now supposedly the Niners, according to CBS Sports, are committing to Garoppolo. So it's like, because my pick has been the Niners for Watson, because if I see these two teams get together, right, like if the Texans finally say, okay, Deshaun, we'll move you. But and obviously Watson has the no trade clause, right? So they have to kind of come together. I kind of compare it to like that I don't know if it's kind of diagram, like a circle diagram, where you've got Deshaun's teams, the Texas teams, where they overlap, right? What teams are in that middle section, and you would think that the Texans are going to start with the NFC. I mean, common sense. I know it's the Texans. Not trying to hate, Texans fans. I'm sorry, but you have to agree at this point that your franchise is a little wayward. So I would think that they would start with the NFC teams,
Yeah.
right? I won't even mention the Bears. Clearly, I'm a Bears fan, but I'm not going to really entertain thoughts. I don't get my hope. Plus, we passed on the kid in 2017 because the Bears front office are not wise sometimes. So to me, it's the Niners, but then this report came out today, so I don't know. I cannot fathom Deshaun Watson would have told San Francisco, no, I don't want to play with Shanahan in San Francisco. It's like I can't say there's no way, because obviously I'm not privy to them.
It's
But
impossible to know what's
why?
posturing for the media. And, when you back your guy, is that really the truth? It's hard to
Yeah,
say.
yeah. So I'm at this point, I'm operating under the assumption that Watson's going to get moved again. Like you said, I think it's going to drag out, and I think that dragging out is going to cause a lot of these teams. I think a lot of these teams right now are probably pressing, being like, please, Deshaun Watson's agent, whatever his name is, can you please tell us if he wants to come here at all? Because if not, we're going to start making moves. Like the Bears would probably be a team that was having that conversation, right? And then the Jets, obviously, because they want to know if Darnold needs to be a part of that equation, because they know they can move Darnold because they have the second pick, right? So operating on the assumption that he will get moved, we just don't know when. I do still think he goes to San Francisco, just because I think Shanahan, good roster. At least we think it's a good roster, right? Just in the Super Bowl like a year ago. West Coast, clean weather, good market, real good fan base, good tradition, everything. Lynch seems like a respected GM, at least early on, right? He hasn't been GM very long, but I'm still picking San Francisco. Behind them, I would definitely put like the Dolphins/Jets, because I think if it's not San Francisco,
Yeah.
the Broncos have been coming up here recently too. There's been some rumors about the Broncos. You're seeing reports Denver's real high on their QB. So, which I don't know why they
Yeah.
would
Now
be.
I'm hearing
He
other
hasn't
things
shown
now
me
too.
anything.
Yeah, I saw some reports today that the front office really is not in on luck or Lock, sorry, and
Lock.
that what he saw from last year just didn't impress him. Yeah.
They had to like dummy down the playbook for him and stuff. Yeah, he's like I've said it before. He's like a more like
Yeah.
charismatic Jay Cutler. So he reminds me of like, just I don't know. He just reminds me of Cutler a little bit. But Elway. I mean, Elway, to me, Elway's a little overrated as a GM. I mean, his best move is making the obvious choice
Total
to try to
value your
lure Peyton
talent.
Manning. Yeah, like, okay, Peyton Manning came there because he trusted you, and he wanted to prove he still had something left, and clearly he did. I mean, granted, Peyton's last Super Bowl wasn't because of him, really, it's because of defense, but he had a few really good seasons before that. So he clearly has some juice left. So I think always a little overrated as far as his front office evaluation, as far as what he's done there. But I could still see Watson wanting to go there because it's a good fan base again. Can't take it away from Denver Bronco fan base. They more often than not are a team that's in the mix. It's not like you hear about the Denver Broncos and you're like, when are they ever relevant? You know what I mean? So I could see Denver being there too. So I think my AFC teams would definitely be obviously the Jets Dolphins combo because of the draft capital, especially the Dolphins because of how competitive they are, and then being in Florida, and then Denver I think is probably in the mix. The NFC I will only entertain the Niners. I don't think the Bears are in it. So that's kind of where I hone in on my 4 teams. I'll say the Niners though, I guess, which begs the question then what would happen to Garoppolo? So if we kind of like work our way from Watson moving on, like you're saying Watson to the Jets, but it'll be later. Are you saying Darnold's a part of that deal, you think? Or where would you think Darnold would go? And we don't spend too much time on this.
But I think they could give him enough first round draft picks, to make up for it. So I could see Darnold going somewhere else. I know there's been a lot of talk on the 49ers being a possible destination,
back to the West Coast.
Even the Bears. So
yeah.
You
hear a lot about the Colts, the Niners, and the Bears. I think the main ones I've heard. Yeah, I think the Jets, since they have some cap ready, we could trade Sam. We can move Sam in the next 3 weeks, get more draft capital. So if Deshaun wants to come here, obviously send that Hall their way, and then we have Deshaun, and then the Texans have the 2nd overall pick, plus plenty more to build with. And Darnold isn't, because it's not like the Texans are gonna like make that deal, be like, all right, we got Sam Darnold. I actually kind of like, I know you're probably not real big on him, but I actually still think Sam Darnold in the right situation can be a decent starting quarterback. I'm not saying he's going to be like top 5 or top 10 even. I think he could be a decent starter in the league. I really believe that. That's why I kind of low key want the Bears to sign him, just because he won't cost that much either, I don't think.
He definitely had the worst situation.
Yeah, he had an awful situation. It was like it was bizarro world with him and Allen. It's bizarro world. Like draft the same class. Darnold was supposed to be the more sure thing. Allen the project. Same with Lamar. But Allen and Lamar went to better. I mean, the Bills obviously had been struggling, but they got the right coach now in the GM, which makes all the difference, obviously. You can see that now they've built something good around Allen. And then the Ravens obviously are usually always really well done. They're a well-ran franchise. So it doesn't surprise me that they've really done well with Lamar being a project. So, but yeah, Sam's had a raw deal to me. So I just don't see like the Texans being like, if the Jets, I doubt the Jets are sitting there with Sam being like, we got to keep Sam because the Texans are going to want to trade, Watson to us, and they're going to want Sam and not draft a quarterback that 2nd overall pick. It's like, I don't think so. I don't think they'd really want Sam. I think they would probably want a new quarterback, Zach Wilson, Fields, whoever at number 2. So yeah, I think I agree with you. I think I could see Darnold going to maybe the Niners, but we'll see if what they do with Garoppolo. Man, it's tough. I'm going to say I want it's going to be tough because we're going to jump right into Carson Wentz from this. But I'm going to say I want Darnold to go to the Bears because I do think Carson Wentz ultimately goes to the Colts. Because I think right now there is truth to the Bears and Colts being the main 2 teams that are sniffing around Wentz, but nobody's given the Eagles anything close to what they want. So I think eventually everybody knows the Eagles have to move on, right? They're not just going to keep – there's no leverage there. They're going to have to move him, and his contract is terrible. It's kind of like Goff, except it seems like he's a bad teammate as well, kind of like a Jay Cutler thing where not the same type personality per se, but not a guy that's going to like galvanize the locker room, which is bad when you have a quarterback that doesn't when the quarterback's not a leader, it just creates like a vacuum in a locker room. Do you know what I mean? So I think Wentz goes to the Colts. I think Darnold then goes to the Bears because then the Bears can keep their 1st round pick. Because I think the Chicago at this point, if they know they can't get Watson, and Chicago knows they can't trade up for it's the front office and the coach is in win now mode. They can't be thinking, even though I would want them to, like for me, my perspective, I would love it if Chicago like traded up in the top 10 to get a rookie quarterback because I could care less about this front office and head coach if they're fired or not next year. I want to draft our next guy, really. You know what I mean? Because that's like with Allen, it's a great feeling. You drafted him, he's yours. Barring something crazy, you're set for the next 10 plus years, dude. You know, which is a great feeling.
Yeah.
So that's what I would want this year, especially with like a loaded class. But again, since the front office of the Bears and the coach obviously are pretty much in win now mode. I think they've been given a 1-year ultimatum to win a playoff game, probably. I think they're going to have to try to go. I think they're going to end up defaulting because they're trying to get Derek Carr, and I guess we can kind of do this in tandem. I don't think Carr is going to get moved because I think the Raiders are asking for like a skyrocket amount just to see if somebody bites. Nobody's going to. Because I think Carr's good. Carr's top 15 quarterback, in my opinion, if not like top 12 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's not elite, but he's just outside that elite to me. Good leader, off the field stuff checks out everything. But I don't think the Raiders are going to move Carr, which I think the Bears do want Carr in a perfect scenario, but they can't give up that. I don't think they're allowed to give up that much for him because of the 1-year deal. So I think they're going to default to somebody like Sam Darnold, still have that first round pick to get an offensive lineman or whatever, or maybe an offensive weapon. And then, so then it's going to be like Nick Foles and Sam Darnold. It's just like, all right, 8 and 8, 9 and 7, here we come.
I can't imagine Sam Darnold. Yeah, I can't imagine Sam Darnold's trade value is very much with, I feel like they've destroyed it in the last 3 years.
Yeah. I would hope I would hope that we could maybe do like maybe a 3rd round pick and a player. Like if they need corners. It's like maybe you trade like Kyle Fuller, who's a Pro Bowl corner with some years left, and like a 3rd round pick. Because I think they're going to want to unload some of that cap space anyways. The Bears are, that is. So I could see hopefully something like that. If it's a first rounder,
he's prime for like a Ryan Tannehill revival on a new team. Except, I think he's shown less than Tannehill did with the Dolphins.
Yeah,
but
he has. I still like his talent. He's only 23 years old. I like his attitude. So he's low key. Who, if I'm balancing, again, I'm a Bears fan. If I'm balancing who I think is realistic and who excites me the most. Again, so I don't consider Deshaun Watson realistic. At this point, I don't consider Derek Carr that realistic. Maybe a slimmer hope, but not a lot. I think I would just be with Sam Darnold. And then, maybe in the draft, if you get Sam Darnold, assuming you still have draft capital, maybe you tag and trade Allen Robinson because I don't think Allen Robinson wants to stay. You could tag and trade him for a 2nd round pick, I think. Certainly draft another quarterback, though. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to roll with Sam Darnold and Nick Foles into the season, please, even though you're going to get fired probably, please draft us a quarterback in the first 4 rounds, just as like your parting gift, so we have somebody to hope for, you know? Yeah. So that's kind of how, like I said, the Wentz with the Colts. How do you feel about Wentz with the Colts? Do you think that's his most likely spot?
Yeah, I think they'll give him what they want for him. So, you know, just to get someone in the building. Although I wouldn't mind running with Brissett another year and, you know, looking at the next year, something like that.
He's a free agent. I don't have him on the list here, but he is a free agent. So he's kind of one of those, if you're looking for a decent bridge, like a bridge quarterback. Brissett's not.
And they didn't utilize his talents. They put him in wildcat situations where he always ran.
He's not mobile. And he's not really mobile. Yeah. Yeah. I think Wentz goes to the Colts. And then I got Trubisky listed on here. He's a free agent. I think Trubisky goes to the Panthers. Just, you don't have to give predictions. I know you probably could care less. I think Trubisky goes to Carolina as a backup, obviously. Going back to where he played college ball. He's from Ohio, but I could see him going back to Carolina region because he played college ball, familiar with the area, obviously. I think at this point he knows he's obviously a backup, has a long road if he ever wants to be a starter again, which I don't see. But he could certainly be a backup for the next 7-8 years until he gets older, and teams will start looking for younger backups, right? Like, so. But yeah, I think Mitch to the Panthers, because the Panthers are clearly looking to move on from Teddy Bridgewater, it seems like. So yeah, I could see that. And then Dak Prescott, I don't think is going to get moved. I think that's going to get worked out as far as either tagged or signed. Yeah, I think we're on the same page on that one.
I saw rumors about Russell Wilson going to Dallas. That's crazy.
Yeah, same. I got Wilson on the list just with a question mark. I don't see that either. Yeah, I think Wilson stays. Dak Prescott stays. I think Mariota can get moved. I think Mariota. I think there's real. I think Mariota the Patriots is a real thing. I think the Patriots either end up with Mariota or Garoppolo. Like maybe the Niners are bluffing about building around Garoppolo. I think Bill's going to want somebody he either trusts, which I think Jimmy G he would trust for obvious reasons. And Mariota to me just seems like he could be a Patriots quarterback in that system. I mean, yeah, he might have some turnover issues, maybe, I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying he would like revive him and the Patriots would be back, but man, the Patriots, I know they weren't good this year, but they also had a quarterback that, dude, Newton was throwing the ball in the dirt.
Yeah.
It looked like he was skipping rocks.
It was not
It
good.
was
It
sad.
looked painful every
Me
time
and
he
you
threw the
both
ball.
I know me and you both like Cam, but like it was not. I mean, obviously this year being the Patriots, I'm sure you weren't upset to see him struggle with Cam, but yeah. So I think Mariota or Garoppolo goes there.
I think Mariota more likely to move than Carr. I think
Sure,
from the
for
Raiders.
sure. For like a second or third round pick. 'Cause I think his one game and him being young and still people still remembering that he was like the third overall pick, I think it's enough for them to get a second or a third round for him. And
he showed some good film. I mean, he didn't play a lot, but he had a couple games in there that he had to come in, and I thought he played well. So he only
yeah,
helped himself in.
I wanted him more than Foles last year. Whenever the Bears were looking for somebody to compete with Trubisky, I was like, a lot of people were saying they're the one and the same, but I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll find out. But I mean, maybe Mariota goes to Chicago, but I don't think that's going to happen. Then Jameis, I think, is going to New Orleans. The only thing I can see with Jameis is somebody comes along and offers him a heck of a deal, because I know he had the 30 interception year a couple years ago with Tampa Bay, obviously, but he's still young. He's still super talented, dude. Like he's really talented, and he can obviously sling it and score. But again, he can also hand the ball to the defense literally as much as he completes passes to his own team. So I could just see like teams remembering the talent he has and now associating him with Sean Payton and being like a Breeze understudy, to where people are like, 3-year deal, blah, blah, X amount of dollars. Come on now. You know what I mean? I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me. I think he goes with the
Yeah, I
Saints
think.
because he's getting handed the keys to the car with a good system and a good coach. But
Yeah,
teams are desperate. I think there's going to be some
I,
desperate teams, dude.
I think Winston's kind of like Fitzpatrick. He can be deadly to a
Yeah,
starter that maybe has low confidence or isn't playing well.
it's great. That's a great comparison, honestly. I like as far as the mentality and what they bring, where it's like you're never going to like roll into a game with Jameis and Fitzpatrick as quarterback, be like, well, this offense is going to be boring. You know what I mean? You at least know it's going to be exciting or frustrating,
Yeah,
but it's going to evoke some kind of emotion out of you, at least. That's a good comparison. So yeah, I think he'll stay. Like I said, he's being handed the keys to the kingdom with a great coach, Hall of Fame coach. Obviously, they still have weapons in New Orleans, so I think he'll stay. But again, I think there's going to be some desperate teams, because as this carousel, obviously a carousel being that whenever these QBs land in certain spots, there's going to be a team that a QB doesn't land on. That team's going to have to scramble, right? So, and yeah, the Watson thing's kind of the linchpin. I think a lot of these teams are kind of holding their cards close to their chest, being like, well, I think I have a shot at Watson. Do you think, you know what I mean? Like there's just a lot of poker going on right now. So,
I don't think
um,
nearly as many quarterbacks are going to change as openings, are available. So we look and it's like there could be 10 quarterbacks that change teams, but at the end we'll see like 2 or 3 of them did, and the rest
yeah,
didn't happen. But same thing happened
right.
last year.
Yeah, I kind of hope that the Bears like come up and like this whole thing, like you said, if it does simmer down that way and there's not nearly as much change as what we think there's going to be, I kind of hope the Bears then have no choice but to like, all right, let's try to package up something and go in the top 10, and then we'll have like a top, you know, probably not Wilson because Wilson's going number 2, but maybe Fields or Trey Lance, and then you have Foles there starting to start the season. That probably won't save their job because we probably won't win enough games, but I would be super excited about the future because we'd have a top quarterback from this draft, and a still hopefully a decent roster, and then bring that new coach in to try to get that QB going. That's as a Bears fan that kind of has already written off this regime. That's kind of where I hope it ends up. But in all likelihood, it'll end up something. I just, if they're allowed to mortgage our future to go get somebody like a Wentz. Carr I can deal with as long as it's not too crazy. Obviously Watson I'd be happy to have, but I'm not willing to entertain that. So yeah, that's kind of where I see the QB carousel as of right now. At least we'll obviously talk about it as it develops. But I mean, do you have anything else you want to add to that, or is that kind of how you see it going too, as far as how things sit?
Uh,
How things sit?
yeah, yeah, we didn't even talk about, like Newton. He's probably going to be somewhere else and,
Yeah,
fighting for
yeah.
a starting job, even how terrible he played. I'm sure there's a
Fitzpatrick.
team that will still think that he'll regain his MVP form.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick will go somewhere too, and be. He always finds it. He always goes to a team that he can always kind of have one foot in the door as far as being the starter. Fitzpatrick does that is so yeah, we'll see. Well, I mean, we'll talk about it as it develops and stuff. I think over the next few weeks we'll see something as a new league year start. I think like March 17th is a new league year, so there's got to be movement before the draft. I mean, there's got to be. So between
Yeah.
March and April, you're gonna have to see some answers come, some things start to become clear here. So yes, the next thing I've got is Big Ten basketball. Now I know I swore off Illinois, but
Never heard of it.
Like I told Tyler last week, I don't know if you watched the show. I know only about 30 people did, but that's okay. I kill off my Illinois fandom because I know it's going to come back stronger. You see, so that's why I do that. My Illinois fandom's like a cat. It's got several lives, more than 9. So, but yeah, as
It's
far as
nice to
Big Ten,
care. Even though it
huh?
hurts, that means it's worth rooting
I
for
can't
if it
not
hurts.
care. I do just, and obviously because I text you about it just to vent. But like, I can't not care. I know this is an Illinois basketball podcast, but in the last or 2 nights ago, Friday night, I was up late watching that overtime game versus Nebraska. I felt bad. I was nervous about that game all day because I hate playing it. Like when I saw they were like 0-8, I was like, oh no, just because dude, that's a ticking time bomb to me. You know what I mean? Like when a team is like
Yeah.
0 and whatever, has a 1 and forever. I don't care what anybody says. It's still a Big Ten team, and I don't care what anybody says about Fred Hoiberg. I know they're not doing well right now, but the dude has coached well in college. I mean, NBA ate him up, but as far as college, Fred Hoiberg had Iowa State, and I'm sure he wishes he was still there. Had him humming a few years ago. So that dude knows what he's doing. He knows what he needs to do to beat some of these Big Ten teams, these better Big Ten teams. It's just a matter of him trying to kind of make chicken salad, as they say. So yeah, Iowa saved him. It's brutal. But yeah, as far as Big Ten in general,
Yeah.
kind of where the race is, obviously Michigan's at the top, just came back today, had a comeback versus Wisconsin at the Kohl Center.
Yeah.
Got it done.
With such a long
So,
layoff and to go to Wisconsin, even during a COVID year, I mean, that's just pretty amazing.
They're pretty unexpectedly good. I mean, I think a lot of Michigan fans would tell you that, right? Is that they didn't expect to be this good. It was supposed to be, well, I mean, Michigan State was supposed to be up there, right? If I'm not mistaken, Michigan State's in the cellar this year, but they were supposed to be at least top 5, I think. And then, I mean, weren't they like, was it Michigan State top 5 preseason? You know college basketball a little bit more than me, but I think Michigan State was way up there. So,
oh yeah, preseason, I'm sure they were top 15. I can't remember off
they
the
always
top of my
are.
head, but
Yeah.
yeah, this is their worst season I think they've had in decades. So
Yeah. So, yeah, Michigan's really good. I mean, I'm still a little bitter because that's the other thing I thought about that Illinois game Friday, because that was a reschedule. That was a postponement that got thrown in this week or last week to play Friday all of a sudden, because we were supposed to welcome back Michigan on the 11th this past Thursday. And Michigan said they needed more time, but then the women's team played on Thursday. So that's where a lot of Illinois fans were chirping, saying, you ducking us, blah, 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 because it's the same protocol, right? They all had the same shutdown. So the men's team decided not to play. And I don't want to, it's COVID, so I don't want to like play too much into it because it's a serious thing. So I'm not trying to make light of COVID, but a lot of Illinois fans kind of chirping. But I was like, here we go. We're chirping at Michigan about ducking us, and we're going to roll in here, lose to Nebraska. Yeah. And it's just egg all over the face. You know what I mean? So I was like, that game had every hallmark of a big upset, dude. It had the classic, big man gets the rebound, carelessly looks around with the ball, and like the other team, like defender, like knocks it out of his hands and puts it in for a layup. It had that play. It had the missed free throw by Nebraska. 2 Illinois players go for it at the same time. They don't need to because they're on the same team. Neither one of them gets it, bats it back to another Nebraska player, and then they hit a three. It had all the hallmarks of the upset. It's just, but anyways,
I'm sure some
so
classic Big Ten officiating too.
yeah, it was that was a little off too, but I almost try to ignore officiating if I can help it. But Big Ten wise, it's Michigan's right now. They have to make up some of these games. I think Tyler said they've lost like 6 games in that stretch, or they missed 6 games. I just don't know. I haven't heard of a makeup date for the Illinois Michigan yet. I know Illinois has announced. Obviously, they just made up Nebraska. Illinois is making up, I think, the Michigan State games. We had a Michigan State game pushed out a while back. But it's just, how's this going to work out if hypothetically Iowa's kind of falling back, right? Iowa had that skid there where now they're kind of, Ohio State's still right there. Ohio State's only 1 game behind Illinois currently. Ohio State's way better than people thought they'd be too. My goodness. Like, whenever Ohio State beat Illinois, I was just like, you kidding me? A middling Ohio State team. And then little did I know how good they were. But I mean, how's it going to work out if we can't make up the Michigan game and say Illinois again? I'm biased, but if Illinois finishes 1 game back from Michigan for the Big Ten regular season, how's that
Well,
shake out?
I don't think they're going to try to make up all the lost games. I think they'll
Yeah,
do what they can and make up a few, but they've already said that it's winning percentage. It's not going to be,
yeah,
number of wins in the standings. So I just feel like their Big Ten title's guaranteed because I haven't done the math, but it just seems impossible for them to
yeah.
not
They only have one
win the
loss,
title.
and yeah, I don't know the remaining schedule. I don't even know if we play them now because I don't know if we played them twice or if it was just the one time that got canceled now. Um, but it's like no matter what, if we have 3 losses, they have 1. If they don't lose another game, or if they lose just one more game, I don't think we can ever overtake them. Like I think it just become like a
Mhm.
fraction of a fraction of a fraction. I mean, at least in terms of the Big Ten season, it's not like we play thousands of games, so it's like,
Yeah, it would take a historic collapse, I think, for them to fall behind.
yeah, and it could have started today, but credit to them, came out and won after a 3-week layoff. I can't take it, dude. They're good. I haven't watched a ton of them, but
Yeah,
their freshman big man seems like he's pretty freshman of the year for sure. It's not a real stacked freshman
yeah,
class this year, but I'd say he's comfortably the freshman of the year at this point. Dickinson, I think his name is, and then
yeah.
Big Ten tournament. Hopefully, it doesn't get canceled. I don't think it should, right? I mean, all the tournaments now are happening. Well,
Well,
obviously, the tournament's happening in Indiana, but
yeah, and I know that they were going to come out and talk about the Big Ten Conference Championship. Obviously it's going to be in Indianapolis now, but there was talk about why shouldn't teams just not play if they already have a spot in the tournament and then they know they're going to make it. Why
yeah,
risk more players falling out of COVID protocol or
sure.
something like that? But I I don't know if they've announced anything, but I think they'll probably come out and say something that you have to play or something like that.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. I've also heard people throw out the idea of like, hey, if we can't settle these makeup games, then to hell with the regular season title. Let's just have the Big Ten tournament be for the Big Ten champion in general. You know what I mean? But it's like, well, that's kind of, I don't
Yeah,
know. Even though I want Michigan to make up the games, but Michigan's also a victim of circumstance, so it's not their fault. So I would hate to see it where it's like, hey, just put yourself in that position where you worked for your 2-game lead, you had the cancellations, but then somebody's going to sit there and be like, hey, was this like old school NASCAR or something where it's like you're the regular season champion, but then you go in the playoffs and you just, you know, so
yeah. And
I don't know if I really like that idea either.
this
It's just a
conference
weird year.
tournament, yeah, this conference tournament's set to be one of the best ever, though, with how good all the
Yeah.
teams are. I mean, even the lower half of the bracket. I mean, they're going to play some good games, and
That's the thing is like circling back to Michigan State. Like, would you be surprised if Michigan State somehow got hot and at least the tight championship game in the Big Ten tournament? I mean,
yeah,
just because they have that is, I mean, I've heard that they're truly not good, but still,
yeah,
it's Izzo, and like it's just every March, it seems like they're playing their best. So I wouldn't be surprised if
yeah,
that Wisconsin is like always really good in the Big Ten tournament. I mean, that's always like I think aren't they the best in the Big Ten tournament? I think they have the best resume as
yeah,
far as Big Ten tournament championships. So yeah, I agree with you. The Big Ten tournament itself is going to be a toss up. Michigan may very. I mean, that'd be my pick at this point. Michigan to win the regular season title, and then a mix of Iowa, Ohio State, Illinois to round out the top 4. We talk about your Hoosiers. Hoosiers are 6th or 7th, right?
it's a sad state of affairs. Yeah, it's
You're in the
not good.
tournament. You're in the tournament right now, though. You didn't need to win at Ohio
Yeah,
State.
most bubble of bubbles. Yeah, and it's recently biased, I'm sure, because Ohio State just whipped us, but I could see Ohio State winning the tournament easily.
Oh
They
yeah,
look amazing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're way better than
Yeah,
anybody thought. Yeah, EJ Liddell was from Illinois, and all it was down to Illinois and Ohio State. And I can't say he chose wrong, but man, if EJ was on Illinois' team, he's that power forward that Illinois is missing. Brutal. But anyways,
he brutalized us. Yeah,
yeah, he hit tons of threes on us too, and it's like he doesn't usually hit threes, but it's a kind of a grudge game because he knows all those guys on Illinois' team, or most of them at least. So yeah, he went to the same school as Malcolm Hill, so that was kind of where it was like a big letdown that he didn't, come to Illinois. So yeah, Ohio State's up there, man. I mean, they're both one seeds right now, Ohio State, and Michigan, and Illinois is on the two. I mean, this is according to Lenardi,
yeah.
which I think he's lost some steam, I guess. But as far as bracketology, but I mean, I'm assuming most brackets have them as one
This
seeds.
year's tough
Illinois,
too.
yeah. I mean, Baylor, Gonzaga seem like. I mean, Gonzaga. I mean, they're good. Obviously, they could score, but it's like it. They're playing San Francisco last night. I mean, it's not their fault. They try to stack their pre-conference as best they can now because they know they're going to get lulled to sleep in the regular season. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And they come into the tournament, and then what happens if they get punched in the mouth either by a hungry Cinderella team or another Power Five team, right? Like I still think Baylor's the best team in the country, but that's just because I've seen them firsthand. And when Illinois played them, dude, the perimeter defense, I said it last week, was like I know Io's not like amazingly quick. I mean, he's certainly he's a top 5 like guard in the country for sure. But like he's not like really quick, but like he usually finds a way eventually to like get in the lane and he'll get to the bucket and either get an and one or maybe finish or at least maybe pull up. Like he couldn't even, like I said last week, he couldn't even turn a corner, dude, when he was playing against Baylor. I mean, the perfect example was like he looked like he was like sick. he just looked like he just didn't have the legs. But it was more because of Baylor's perimeter defense, dude, is just so sick. I think Baylor and Gonzaga, obviously being the 2 undefeated teams left, are the best 2 teams, but Michigan, Ohio State are right there, and we'll see how that bracket turns out and who's with what, who's in their region and stuff. But yeah,
I'm
as far
curious
as
how it shakes out with most of the games being conference games, and the overall records are not going to be what they usually are. How much of that plays into it.
yeah, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, so I mean, I think Indiana right now is going to be in. So I think as far as Big Ten, you're looking at what? Gosh, how many teams would get in?
9, I think.
Oh my
I
gosh,
think 9 is what I saw. Yeah.
really? And Archie's going to get a big extension, so that'll be good for Indiana and good for all their
Please
Big
God,
Ten
no.
fans.
No, no.
Yeah, saw Justin. Plays for Arkansas. Guy that transferred out from you last year, Justin. Is it
Oh yeah,
Smith?
Justin
Playing for
Smith.
Arkansas last night. They beat Missouri.
Yeah, yeah,
Looked pretty good, man.
yeah. Arkansas's got a pretty good team. Yeah,
They're only like 5 losses. They're not ranked, but look like to me like they should be. So yeah, it's interesting. I can't wait. It's just COVID robbed us of last year. Again, talking college basketball, right? So COVID obviously had much greater implications than canceling March Madness, but like not getting to have March Madness last year, if we're talking about fun and games, I was like, geez, me as a tortured fan, it's like I was finally get to fill out a bracket with Illinois in it, first time in 7 years, and get to do it this year. Hopefully, seems like nothing's for sure, I guess, but I'm real
but it's
excited.
kind of like it's a redo because AO and Kofi, they probably wouldn't have came back if it was a normal year and they had a tournament run. So this is
Yeah,
a redo.
Io definitely, I don't think would have. I think Kofi's still kind of not victimized. That's not the right word, but he's still. I would say, well, he's a victim of circumstance. I think Kofi. I still think there's a. I won't say a great chance. I think there's a somewhat of a chance that Kofi still could come back next year, just because, dude, his position, the way he plays it, does not translate to NBA anymore. He's like a less versatile big man for the Sixers. That
Joel
played at
Embiid.
Yeah, like to me, he's almost like that, except he's not as versatile as Joel. Like that's what he needs to like aspire to be. Do you know what I mean? Like he's never gonna be like crossing over, dribbling or anything. Because, the NBA is positionless, but that's like what he needs to aspire if he wants to look at, okay, who's a traditional 7-foot center that got drafted in like the lottery, if not top 5 recently. It's like, to me, Joel's got to be who he tries to model, and he's made progress, but still don't know if he needs to show more consistent, like a mid-range game to me, which he's hit some of those before. Surprisingly enough, he actually can hit a little bit of a mid-range, but Io for sure, to your point. The one thing I think he was missing last year was like, I could put a team on my back and I can get us to like the Sweet 16, Elite 8 type thing. He didn't get to do that. So I think he made the right choice coming back. So I'd say, hopefully we don't have a first round flop, but I think he's probably going to be a first round pick, not lottery. I don't think, because I don't think, for some reason, I don't think he'll like show up and do like the physical, like the vertical and stuff like that, and all those testings that they do. I don't think he'll light that up, but
Yeah,
he should be a first.
NBA puts so much emphasis on freak athleticism.
Yeah, and he has length and stuff, and he's gotten a lot stronger and bigger, but his outside shot's not, it's okay, but it's not great. He doesn't take it a lot either, because I think he knows it's not great, so he doesn't want that percentage to dip. He's real smart about when he takes them. But I will say this, because he's been like I think he's had triple double a couple weeks ago. I think, dude, if Denzel Valentine can get drafted in the lottery, I don't see why I would assume who can't. And, I mean, Denzel Valentine's a bench player. He can't get off.
Sure.
He comes off the bench for the Bulls, and he'll always be that, a guy that just floats around the league coming off the bench for 12 minutes a game. I'm not saying that's Io's ceiling, but I just look at like a guy like Denzel Valentine. It's like, if he can get drafted in the first round, I don't understand how somebody could tell me Io DeSumo can't, dude. Because like Io's stuffing the stats right now, and he's showing that he is like one of the best players in the country for sure. So we'll see. But yeah, hopefully it's going to be an exciting tournament. And Big Ten wise, like I said, I think Michigan will probably win it. Tournament's a complete toss up. No idea.
With it having all the home venues in Indiana playing other college venues, I think it'll be unlike any other one that we've seen.
I know. Too bad we can't have all the fans. They'll have some fans because it's Indiana. We're a little more lax with the attendance rules, but especially because our numbers are doing okay. But I'm not going to try to go to a game. I'll be out of the state when the tournament starts off. But yeah, it's going to be crazy having all the in Bloomington and Indianapolis and all these tournament games. It's amazing. There was actually, kind of think of it, I won't say where I live, but like there was ESPN was in our town doing a special in our gym today, our high school gym, because the tournament's going to be here. So I think they're going around all the big the big gyms in Indiana. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. I think there's going to be some stuff on ESPN about, so be looking for that, about high school gyms in Indiana and stuff, and kind of like why the tournament's here, kind of help paint that picture of the history and tradition in the state as far as basketball. So yeah, really exciting stuff, dude. So we're kind of running pretty long on time, so I think we'll probably wrap it up with some just quick video game talk as far as what we're playing and stuff like that. So before we get to that, real quick, hopefully you're still with us. Hopefully you enjoy what you're listening to. Again, this is meant to be kind of a leisure, sit back and listen. If you do like what you're hearing, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. We're going to try to have these episodes roughly once a week. I'll also be pumping out content, real quick videos about, when some of these quarterbacks, finally sign. I'll pop up some videos giving my reaction to that. I'll give some reactions to some UFC fights. I just gave one over the Usman Burns fight today. So if you're interested in any of that kind of stuff, like I said, video game, sports, reactions, or just general kind of shooting the stuff, talks like we're doing right now, please subscribe and share, and we appreciate you watching. So yeah, so as far as the video games, man, what are you playing? What's your fancy right now?
So trying to get through Valhalla, that's taking up a majority of my time, and I love the new kind of trilogy, the new kind of setup they have for Assassin's Creed, starting with Origins and then Odyssey, but I never really got too deep into them, so I didn't understand how long these games were.
Yeah.
So Valhalla is the one I'm really trying to beat. So I think I'm at 75 hours now, and I've not quite cleared the map. So yeah, there's probably another 20 hours in there to do that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm enjoying my time. It's good Assassin's Creed RPG, type fun, open world exploration, and checking off a list of tasks and stuff. Kind of turn your brain off. But the story's interesting. I think the time period's really interesting.
Yeah.
So, and definitely by the end, I feel like they introduce some other characters, and I think it gets a lot more interesting. So definitely enjoying that. Hopefully, have it wrapped up probably in another week or two. But the other one, kind of surprise game. So being an Xbox gamer and having Game Pass, there's a lot of games that I normally wouldn't buy, but just testing out because they're free. So one came out recently called The Medium. It's kind of a survival horror style game, but it throws back to the PS1 era of Silent Hill and Resident Evil and that sort of thing. So it's fixed camera angles and not
Hmm.
quite tank controls or anything like that, but kind of throws back to that, especially Silent Hill. But it's not quite as scary as those games were. It's more like a thriller and a crime drama, something like that.
Oh,
But it's a purely adventure exploration style game. There's no combat or anything, but the main character is a medium, so she's going into the spirit world and that sort of thing, and trying to solve these mysteries and these crimes. So kind of interesting game, but those two have been taking up most of my time.
oh, interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard that one because I'm a PlayStation gamer. I'm a Sony guy. But no, yeah, I'm playing Valhalla
I
too.
will
Yeah,
be in about 12 months when they're on the shelf.
yeah, give or take. Scalpers be damned. Um, yeah, I've been playing Valhalla too. Like I said, I think you're a little bit farther than me. I'm enjoying it. I kind of swore it off for a little while. Not that I hated it. Like it was like I ever was like, oh, this game sucks. That certainly didn't think that. But I kind of dropped it and I started playing Ghost of Tsushima a while back and beat that because I thought that game was great. And
Awesome.
yeah, that game got its hooks in me, and I didn't complete it, but I beat the main storyline, and I thought that was really well done, and I can't wait for the sequel in that one. But yeah, Valhalla, it's really good. I think she did like the scenery and the story. I mean, yeah, the England scenery blows me away. Like sometimes you'll catch a view of like that. Assassin's Creed's always been really good at that, though. You find the right perch, and it's just literally breathtaking.
And it's great about opening up a small area of the map, and it seems so large, and then you really get the scope of the game, the scope of the map, and it's like way bigger than you could ever anticipate. They're
Yeah,
awesome at that.
yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like I said, I think the story's good. I mean, I don't usually beat all Assassin's Creed. It's kind of like one of every three I'll beat. Like I didn't even come close to beating Origins. I liked it. I didn't beat it. I thought about actually rebuying it on the cheap and trying to beat it. I played a good deal of Odyssey. Really enjoyed the scenery on that one, but I didn't beat it either. Then I got rid of my Xbox, so I'd have to repurchase that one if I want to go back and beat that one. But then obviously this one, I think I'm gonna beat it, but man, like you said, it's pretty long. But I'm humming along
It's
pretty
like
good. I
they could cut it
certainly,
in half.
yeah.
I just
I
don't
mean, I'm not.
understand why they have to fill it out with
Yeah,
so much content, especially the
yeah,
story. There's so much filler.
yeah. Oh, I don't even. Yeah, I don't even mess. I mean, once in a while, I might before I hop province to province. Put my knife in whatever they call it on there. But anyways, basically I'll sprinkle in once in a while a little side quest of my settlement or something, but I'm certainly not like branching out and doing a bunch of side quests and like grinding or anything, you know what I mean? I'm just staying on which that's the one thing I do like this game seems like it's done a better job of was some of the previous Assassin's Creed games. It was like if you wanted just to do the main story quest, like you almost couldn't because by just doing the main story quest, you wouldn't level up in a way where you could keep going. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you would just get to a point where it's like, well, I can't do the next main story quest because it's got the red skull. I can't compete because it's too high a level. So you have to go grind. And I didn't like how it did that. I think maybe Odyssey was even like that. So it seems like that's kind of out on this one. This one
Hmm.
kind of brings you along a little bit better. To where if you want to just do the main meat and bones of the story, then you can do that, which I kind of like because, like you said, there's so much. Like if the main story is you're at 75 hours, so it's 75 hours plus, right? I really don't want to take much time to do the rest. I'm not trying to complete an Assassin's Creed game. I just don't have time for that. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. Like I said, um, I don't know where I'd rank in Assassin's Creed games. I think Black Flag will always have a special place in my heart for being
Yeah,
my
it's
top.
awesome.
Yeah. And if you go back and play it now, yeah, maybe it doesn't age that well. But I just know at the time when that game came out and you were sailing the Caribbean, obviously at a time when like Pirates is really in vogue. It's I
Yeah,
just
the
can't.
classic Assassin's Creed series, that's probably my number one. And then
Yeah,
Syndicate was kind of underrated. That would probably be my number two.
yeah, Smoggy London. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that was good too. Yeah, so yeah, I like it. Like I said, I mean, I think I told you in a text. It's kind of like it's good. It's like the reasons I think it's good and the reasons I'm a little not skeptical of it, but down on it's because it's an Assassin's Creed game, and by that I kind of mean like they have these amazing cinematic trailers. Don't get me wrong, I'm like not under the illusion that the cinematic trailer is going to represent what the game is, but I always every time I watch like the premiere cinematic trailer for the next Assassin's Creed game, I always kind of get in my mind that like here we go, they're finally going to like kind of really truly redo the engine. It's going to feel like a brand new adventure RPG game, and it's not. It's refined. Like it's definitely refined. That's a good thing too, because like I said, I'm having a good time with it, and Odyssey was good, so it's kind of good and bad. You understand what I'm kind of saying with that? Like,
Yeah, and I love the new direction the series has gone because I love the RPG elements and all the different stuff that comes with that. But one of the negatives is like around the animation, especially facial animation during
yeah,
cutscenes, because it's procedurally generated now. Just because it just would take too long to hand animate all of it, so
yeah,
everything's kind of stilted in the cutscenes, and I think that's part of what reason the story isn't quite as interesting, especially some of the classic Assassin's Creed. So
yeah.
that's definitely a negative that brings it down.
Yeah, there's some redundancies to it for sure. Like, I mean, I'll see the same face, give or take. Like the eye colors change. Like go to city, and it's like, dude, I think I just talked to you in my previous quest. You know what I mean? It's not the same guy, but it's like to your point, like you said, it's such they get such a big world where it's like they don't have the time to go. I mean, I hate to say it, but like kind of like whenever Bethesda was still good at what they did, like almost. I mean, Bethesda still had some common features too, though. So I can't say that. That's not true. They still had some faces where it's like, okay, you just swap the hair and the eyes, and it's basically the same guy. But Assassin's Creed, I just really noticed it for some reason, where it's like, geez, what is this like Madden? You only got like 4 or 5 different facial models, and you just change the skin tone and the hair.
Yeah,
You know what I
Val is
mean?
just bad
Like,
because everyone's, random bearded NPC, so everyone just starts to look the same after a while.
yeah, and then you're doing like the same. And that's starting to sound like we're bagging on it, and we're not. But like, and then you do these castle quests, and it's like, damn, I just like, is each province going to have this siege castle quest where it's like, okay, shoot the gates. You know what I mean? Like, it's like there starts to be. That's the thing with Assassin's Creed games. Like, they're fun. They're always fun to play, and I'm having a great time. As I said, this is one of the better ones I've played recently. I think this one and Odyssey both were pretty good. Um, but it's almost like if you sit down and really play an Assassin's Creed game and put a lot of hours in it, like over and over again, like day after day, or just consistently only play that, basically, it almost starts to kind of like overexpose itself in some ways because you're just like if you sat down and played like I don't know about you, I'll probably do like one province over a section, like maybe one sitting. I'll do a province because it's like a 45-minute thing. But if you sat down for like
Yeah.
3 hours and just did like 3 provinces, you'd probably feel like you did a lot of the same like tent poles. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And the stories aren't the same, but you know what I mean. Like this castle siege feels the same. And that's where it's almost like Assassin's Creed almost starts to kind of like overexpose itself a little bit for a lack of depth. Um,
And yeah, I don't know
but
why, like it. I don't know if it's a back of the box thing that it's so long. I don't know who's asking for 100-hour games every time. I mean,
yeah,
maybe there is a subset of people that want that and they don't care if it's repetitive. But as a person that wants to try a lot of different games and enjoys beating it, even if it's a
yeah,
weekend or two, it just makes no sense to me.
yeah. I think they need to really take a hard look at like I hate to say it, but like yeah, kind of short, like condensing it, not necessarily in the breadth of the game because I think it's amazing. The one thing Assassin's Creed does really well to me is make you like kind of feel like, man, if I could jump into England back in this time period, this is what it would look like and maybe not feel like as far as how people talk, but definitely like as far as that dropping you in that world, which is kind of what the game's all about, right? Is like dropping you in your ancestors' vision and stuff like that. It still does that really well, but yeah, it's almost like they're just going too long as far as the story itself, and it starts to overexpose itself. It's like shorten it up, maybe go somewhere like a little bit longer than like an Uncharted game, but then give some more width to it. Like Uncharted's pretty linear, You know, I know like Naughty Dog's second to none when it comes to like cinematic storytelling, but maybe about that length. But then obviously have your brand like Tomb Raider game, like those Tomb Raider games, like maybe
Mm-hmm.
about that length. That's open world now. Like I don't know, but again, this sounds like we're hating on the game, and I'm really not. But long story short, it's a long-winded way of saying that's what we're working on right now because there's a lot to play in it, and there's not really a whole lot else I'm playing. Um,
Yeah,
really,
I'm
I
thinking
think
about, what's coming out, and there's really not a lot to get excited about. So I think I may be going through the backlog for the next
speak for
few
yourself,
weeks for
Xbox
sure.
gamer. Speak for yourself. What does Village come out for Xbox the same day, or is it PlayStation exclusive? Do you know?
No, I think it's same. Pretty
Hmm,
sure.
that's a shame. That's in
The
May.
tall lady's only in the PS5 version.
Yeah, she has a lot of clout on social media. Um, but yeah, so that the Village is a big one in May, and then for me, Ratchet and Clank, I think I'm going to get that just to see how amazing it is to just seamlessly rip between worlds. Um, that's in June, so get yourself a PS5 by then, or try to at least. But yeah, as far as games coming up,
We'll see. We'll see.
that's the main two games I have my eyes on. Other than that, as far as what I'm playing, I mean, regretfully, I am playing some Madden and Call of Duty right now, which I mean, what else is filler, right? Like in Madden, I've created a roster for every different Bears scenario. I've got a Derek Carr roster, I've got a Carson Wentz roster, I've got a Sam Darnold roster. So that way, I've got them all loaded up. I just need the Bears to make a choice, and I'm good to go, and I'll start my season. So
How's that story mode in Madden this year?
it's cheesy. I mean, that's a good opportunity for a plug, shameless plug. So one of the other channels or one of the other videos series I have going on this channel right now is I started the Face the Franchise. So if you guys are interested in that, check it out. I'm only on part one. I'll do part two probably this week. But yeah, through part one right now, it's basically you start out as like you moved in to a high school, you're a backup quarterback, and you kind of not politic your way into being the starter, but like the starting quarterback's not very, he's kind of a prick. Um, it's just really it's just really like tropey, starting quarterback's full of himself and hey, this is my position, back off, blah blah blah. But then you find out he's got some health issues, so there are some choices that you make in the game as far as what you tell him. Like, do you tell him you should sit and protect your health and you're not helping the team, or do you tell him to go out there and give it his best shot? I don't think it really matters too much. I think it's kind of like fake choices. I think it's probably still going to go the same point, same spot, no matter what. But I mean, then once you eventually will pick your college team. I think there's like 7 or 8 teams you can choose from to play in the college playoff or to be on and play in the college playoff. You'll play through the college playoffs, which is cool because it's fully licensed NCAA teams. Which, side note, amazing that NCAA football is back. Whew, that's huge. So I
Yeah, they
can't wait
didn't
to
give
play
a
that.
date. Is it going to be this
No,
fall or could it be?
people
Yeah.
are thinking it's this fall, but they have not announced that, I don't think. But I would hope it's this fall. Because it's going to be so amazing. Because obviously, hopefully, all the fans will be back in full force again. And um, the last couple Maddens, they've had this deal where you get to choose your college. You play in the college football playoff, so it was almost like a tease, right? Of like, man, this is what NCAA football would be like on current gen. So now we actually get to see a full game. So, anyways, you do that. Obviously, depending on there's some goal setting along the way, and then I think you'll go through like the combine and stuff like that, and do some stuff. And depending on how you can, I think you can technically be the number one overall pick if you do everything spot on. But you most likely, I think, whenever I've done it in the past, it's always been like I'm pick number 20th or something in the first round. So I guess if you really stink, or if you purposely want to stink, then you can like see how far maybe go undrafted. I don't know what the breadth is of the possibilities, but it's okay. It's not NBA 2K story mode or anything, but it's okay. It's worth a playthrough so people can watch it and decide for themselves. And if they don't want to play it, then they can watch me play it if they want. So it's Madden. They're not going to go too great a lengths, I don't think, but I guess they at least tried, you know. So I can't fault them for that.
I know it's a
So
pipe
yeah,
dream, but I would love, them to look at the engine again for the new consoles.
yeah. I would hope that's going to happen eventually, but it's just we'll see. There's so much money made in the MUT, the Ultimate Team stuff, that it's just, I mean,
yeah.
Angry Joe goes off on it all the time, and nobody sums it up better than him as far as going on. He hates microtransactions on paid games. So, yeah, it's kind of sad, but they did get a lot of. I think the heat is growing as far as the community and I don't know. I can't say that their sales are being really impacted, but it seems like the fervor. I mean, Pat McAfee was talking about it on his show this year. Like there was definitely some substantial, like it got some traction this year. I mean, the reviews, like it seemed like the big outlets too kind of finally pushed back, like IGN and stuff finally said, no, we're not going to give this an 8, because every year is a freaking 8. You know what I mean? It's just like rubber stamp 8, 8, 8, which take that for what it's worth. But it seems like there is going to be
the next gen patches really weren't that game changing.
The reflections are better. The jersey details a little bit better. The sidelines are a little bit better as far as the models. They're still not like truly like real player models, but they are better than what they had in the current gen. But I can't say that I didn't see some difference in the reflections in the jersey textures. But yeah, it's not like that used to be one of the best things about next gen, dude, was like you'd buy that new console. And I always remember when that new console was coming out that fall, it would have Madden as a launch game. And I'd be like, where are the Madden screens? Because that's one of my main markers to decide what the graphics leap is. Seriously, that was always one of my main things I went to. And this year, it was a after the fact polish. That's what it is. It's like a less compressed version, in my opinion. Is really all it is. It's just, hey, here's some less compression because now we're working with better hardware. So we'll see about next year. Maybe they can make us all eat our words and actually put some more substantial effort into the game engine. And the animations are same, canned. I still see some of the most goofiest phantom trips and stuff. This whole talk of like sensors on their shoulder pads and stuff on the next gen, I don't see it. I haven't seen any kind of substantial difference in collision detection to where it's like truly dynamic. I don't see it. It's still just the same canned stuff. So that's what I get, though. I can't help it, man. I got to play it. So it is what it is. Maybe college basketball will come back next. 2K should hope. I wish 2K would get that. That'd be sweet. 2K college basketball. That'd be sick. That'd be so sick. Especially now that these athletes are going to be sponsors. I assume these athletes are going to be like licensed now. So I don't know if I guess that maybe means that there's going to be names. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't think the details come out. There's going to be names on the football game or not, but certainly the likenesses will be good because I'm sure that's part of this agreement. So cool, man. Well, I don't have anything else. I appreciate you joining me. Yeah, we got to do it again. So like I said, anybody out there watching, hopefully you like what you've seen. We're going to try to have another episode. Hopefully, like I said, in about a week or so. And I'll definitely drop in if there is some substantial news on one of these quarterbacks or anything in the sports world in general. So give the video a thumbs up. Please subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.